The Aetheric Strider is a kind of two-handed melee, also archer hybrid, which is also just focused around like psychic energy and the void. It's pretty damn cool. So let's go over it. We're going level by level, combat tutorial, and all the items you can need. So of course we start with the Mind Weaver, which gives us intelligence saving throw proficiency and dexterity saving throw proficiencies. And that brings us to the Aetheric Strider. So this will now add simple weapon, martial, light armor, medium armor, as well as arcane might infusion. So channel the arcane strength within, empowering your attacks with raw might. Your weapon strikes now draw upon your strength modifier for both attack and damage rolls, harnessing the fusion of physical and mystical power to overwhelm your foes. Strength becomes used for attack rolls and damage rolls for weapon attacks and ranged weapon attacks. So bear that in mind. And then we get to pick our cantrips, and we're going to start with Mind Seeker. So channel your psychic focus into an arrow that curves and seeks its target with uncanny precision, dealing 1 to 8 psychic damage. No barrier can hide the mark from your relentless aim, and this arrow always hits its target. This attack requires 4 meters distance from the target, so bear that bit in mind. And then for a cantrip we're going to take Soul Rend. So this is 1 to 8 necrotic damage. Channel dark ethereal energy into a swift slash that sears the soul, dealing 1 to 8 necrotic damage and inflicting Soul Sever, leaving an aftershock of lingering pain that seems to haunt the target's very essence. If we do this with Mind Surge, we'll also inflict Soul Fire. If we come in here, Soul Sever, the target's soul is severed, blocking all attempts at recovering health, so bear that in mind. And then Soul Fire, engulf your foe in green and necrotic flames, burning their soul from within. They'll take 1 to 4 necrotic damage each turn. Now for a cerebral enhancement, we have taken the Arcane Might Infusion, which we spoke about earlier. And then for your ability points, this is going to seem a little weird, but we're actually only going to have 8 strength, because we're going to use strength potions to really buff this up. So obviously you want to take your strength to 16, your dex to 8, and then respec once you've got a stack of strength potions. And then once you've done that, 8 strength, 16 dex to help with our AC and our initiative, 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 10 charisma. And for your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Level 2 unlocks Mind Surge. You would have seen this in a few of my other Mind Weaver builds if you check them out. Essentially we can toggle this and it will enhance some of our spells to do more effects, but it also causes mental exhaustion. So you do get a trade-off for being able to inflict more status effects. We get to pick 2 spells here, and the first one we're taking is Veil Exile. So with a precise thrust dealing 7 to 25 slashing damage, the Strider banishes the target to the Everveil for 2 turns, infusing them with volatile energy. Upon their return, the unstable Aether detonates, dealing 2 to 12 necrotic damage, damaging all nearby, and erupts again the following turn. So essentially you turn them into a walking bomb for 2 turns once they reappear. We're going to pair this with the Spectral Pursuit. So channel your connection to the astral plane, launching a psychic infused arrow, dealing 1 to 8 psychic damage, also slowing the target down and teleporting to them. And as you can see, if we use Mind Surge with this, we'll get Cloak of Malice. For a fighting style, we're going to take Archery for the +2 bonus to ranged weapon attacks. Mind Weaver level 3 gives Ethereal Mastery, which means if we use Mind Surge as a bonus action, we can levitate and fly away, avoiding attacks. We get the Everveil Hunt, so the Strider's relentless focus on their prey allows them to pursue with unparalleled agility. When using a ranged cantrip, they can freely teleport to their target. Likewise, after striking in close quarters with melee cantrip, they may seemingly retreat to a safe distance, next to an ally for a ranged attack. So really nice synergy here between doing a ranged attack and then teleporting for melee coverage, or meleeing it up and then being able to run away for a ranged attack. We also gain Etheric Renewal. Bound to the ethereal realms, the Strider's connection to the Aether surges at the start of combat, restoring their power. This energy fuels their relentless hunt, driving them to stalk and annihilate their prey with merciless precision, leaving only echoes of death in their wake. We gain 2 more cantrips, so for the first one we're going to take is Mind Pierce Arrow. Channeling concentrates psychic force, release an arrow that strikes with mental precision, dealing 1 to 8 psychic damage upon impact for 2 turns. And then for a melee based one, we are going to take Deathveil Spiral. Channel dark energies essentially into a 360-degree arc, dealing 1 to 6 necrotic damage to all around. Mind Weaver level 4 gives us our first feat, as well as Bow and Blade Requiem. So strike with a relentless harmony of steel and precision. Each ranged attack or cantrip empowers your melee strikes with force damage, and on the reverse, all melee attacks will empower your ranged cantrips or shots with necrotic damage. So this is a nice way of doing ranged and then getting close up and then hitting with even more melee damage. We gain another spell at this point, so we are going to take Mind Shackle. This will basically put chains on the mind of the enemy, dealing 3 to 18 psychic damage, but more importantly silencing them for 2 turns, so this is great for spellcasters. And then for your feat, we are going to take our intelligence up to 18. Mindweaver level 5 unlocks Veil Strider's Wrath, so empowered by the relentless energies of the Aether, the Strider blurs through reality, allowing them to unleash a sequence of rapid strikes or cantrips in the same turn. So after using a cantrip, you can use another cantrip or make a weapon or ranged weapon attack. So you kind of get an extra attack as long as you follow the rules of this. It's really cool. So just use a cantrip and then you can follow up with another attack. We gain 2 spells at this point, so we're going to take Spirit Shatter. You can see all the damage this will do thanks to our equipment and this spell. But focus your inner dark energy to unleash a devastating blow upon a single foe with shattering force. The primary target suffers weapon damage plus spellcasting ability modifier, hence why we're boosting our intelligence, of 11 to 29 necrotic damage, and everyone in close proximity takes 2 to 12 necrotic damage unless they pass their intelligence saving throw. And as you can see, using Mind Surge will inflict Soulfire to all in the blast radius, and Soulfire is 1 to 4 necrotic damage over 3 turns. Next one we're going to take is Psy-Shock Arrow. Unleash a bolt of psychic charged lightning striking your target and erupting in an explosive surge. The shockwave radiates from the impact point, dealing 3 to 24 psychic damage to the target and 1 to 8 to all within the blast radius. Now we gain a cerebral enhancement, and for this one we are going to take Intellectual Agility, meaning we can add our intelligence modifier to our initiative. Level 6 brings us 2 more cantrips, so we're going to take Psionic Detonation. Shoot a charged psychic arrow that detonates upon impact, creating an explosion of psychic energy dealing 2 to 12 damage, all nearby engulfed in the blast. As you can see, using Mind Surge will detonate with additional force, knocking everyone back. And then the last one for us to take here is Aether Blade Ruin. Harness Dark Aether and leap skyward, bringing your weapon down with devastating precision to strike your target with 2 to 16 necrotic damage. Upon impact, a surge of energy bursts forth, ravaging your foe with raw power. If we do this with Mind Surge, we'll also inflict 2 to 12 necrotic damage, which will scale with level. Level 7 brings us a new spell, and for this one we are going to take Mind Rend. Surrender the target's mind, dealing 4 to 24 psychic damage, impose disadvantage on intelligence and wisdom saving throws. Level 8 gives us a new passive and a new feat. For our passive, we are going to take Psychic Breach, so basically we now bypass immunity and we even affect inanimate objects with our psychic damage. And of course for the feat, we're going to take our intelligence from 18 to 20. Mindweaver level 9 brings new spells and a passive. So for the spells, we are going to take Death's Embrace. Unleash a sweeping arc of necrotic energy from your blade, engulfing all in a wide cone. Everyone caught will take 6 to 48 necrotic damage and are disarmed. If we use this with Mind Surge, they will also take Fear. This is a huge ability. We're going to take Everveil Lance as well. So we basically shoot forth a lance of energy. Anyone caught within the beam will take 8 to 48 psychic damage, and it will leave a trail of etheric energy in its wake. On a save, they'll still take half damage. For the fighting style, we are going to take Great Weapon Fighting, so we can roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die. With an attack with 200 melee weapon, we can re-roll that die once. Mindweaver level 10 just brings us a health increase. Mindweaver 11 gives us a new passive. And for this one, we are going to take Cerebral Amplification, which means all our cantrips will now add our intelligence modifier to the damage. Mindweaver level 12 brings a new feat, or our final feat I should say, and for this one you could take your dex from 16 to 18. I'm going to take Savage Attacker, just so that when we're making melee weapon attacks, we roll our damage dice twice and use the highest result. Okay, we go over our equipment. We're going to start with Savarok's Horned Helmet. This will give you dark vision up to 3 meters or 15 if you have it. Most importantly, our critical number is now reduced by 1 to 19. We can't be frightened or afflicted with a motion-altering condition, and a Constitution saving throw plus 1. When we take the Cloak of Displacement, this will activate at the beginning of our turn, granting enemies disadvantage on their attack rolls against us until we're hit. The Blackguard Greaves give us Long Strider and Athletics plus 1. The Armour of Agility, nice medium armour, saving throws plus 2, and we get to add our full dex modifier to the armour, bringing us to 20 AC. We're going to take the Helldusk Gloves, plus 1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, and a 1 to 6 fire damage on our weapon attacks. The Ring of Regeneration, because we will be in melee a lot, this is just a nice way of healing ourselves up at the beginning of our turn. The Caustic Band to give our weapon attacks 2 acid damage. The Amulet of Baal, because we have ranged and melee capabilities and we can do so many attacks per round, this is a nice way of inflicting bleeding on people that have maximum hit points, and you can do this a lot. For a melee weapon, we are taking the Sword of Chaos. I think this fits because of the necrotic theme of damage, and on a hit, we regain 1 to 6 hit points. And we're going to take the Dead Shot for a bow. Most important reason being, the number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. So now we only need an 18 or above to land crits. Now from here, we are going to want to drink some strength potions. So, we will find one here, and let's take the Elixir of Cloud Giant Strength. We now have 27 strength, and if we come to our damage here, you'll see we can do 16 to 34 with our weapon here, and 9 to 21 with our bow. So with all that being said, let's go find some combat and check this out. Okay, you can see we are top of the turn order now. We should have done our Arcane Might Infusion when we were in camp, I forgot. So we do this, and now ignore what I said about the bow strength previously. You'll see it's now 14 to 26, so it's a lot higher. Same with, you know, all this lovely stuff here. But at least what we can do is one bonus action, and you know, we can land a big crit with the Pommel Strike and get some bleed going. And 7 bleed damage on the enemy. Okay, now we can start actually doing some damage. First thing we are going to do is we are going to do one of our cantrips. So if we were to do our Aether rune, we'll do this and we'll land it on the Barbarian here. Just like that. And you see they took 27 damage, as well as having Shattered Resolve, and we've got the bleed on them. Because we did that, we can now follow up again with another cantrip or main action, and this time let's do a Mind Seeker, and we'll put this on the enemy up here, who's quite hidden away. And there you go, you see we hit them with psychic and necrotic damage. Okay, we're going to come up here, get into this position, and we're going to target our Mind Surge. If we make this active, you'll see all the ones that have special abilities will actually show up. So let's do Death's Embrace. This is a big necrotic damage dealer. It'll inflict fear thanks to Mind Surge, and we will disarm the enemies. So let's land this here. And there you go. Now unfortunately they did make their save, which is a shame, but what we can do, Spectral Pursuit. We'll do this at second level 2, and we're going to come to this enemy here. And there you go. We've inflicted a lot of damage, caused fear, dropped a weapon, lots of fun things. Okay, now we still have some abilities, so once again we're going to come in with one of our cantrips. So let's do the Mind Pierce Arrow. We'll hit that on this enemy here. And there you go. And because we've done that, once again we can follow up with another one. So we could do a Mind Seeker once again. And there you go, we're spreading all that damage around, hitting multiple targets from range, but we've also got the melee capabilities. Okay, once again, we can show off some more abilities. So if we were to do a... let's do another Mind Pierce Arrow on this target in front of us. We can then, obviously, come in here, follow up with a very base attack, and you'll see our base damage with a nice big crit. And we're going to come up here ready for the next fight. Alright, we are going to get into a position, so let's put ourselves here. And we're going to do our lance, which you can see here. So, if we shoot this in a straight line like this, you can see we can target a lot of enemies, and of course because we did that, and it's not a cantrip, we only get the one attack. But we can do our Spectral Pursuit, we can do this at second level, right in front of us, for some pretty cheap and easy damage. Okay, you can see we got kicked all the way down here, but the enemy is up here. So again, we can do our Spectral Pursuit, and we can actually get all the way up here, taking that enemy out. You'll see there's still one over here, so if we come down here, we have our spells still. So we can follow up with another Mind Pierce Arrow, and shoot good old Sledge over here. Now you see the enemy is in front of us, so let's do, and when it stops lagging, our Soul Rend cantrip, and we'll hit the enemy in front of us, taking that one out. And because we've done that, once again, you know how this works, we can follow up with another cantrip. So let's do our Mind Pierce Arrow, and we'll shoot the enemy over here. Just like that. See, we did psychic and normal damage. Or necrotic, I should say. As well as spread the bleed. Now, we can do another Spectral Pursuit. We'll do this at first level. Can we see? No, not quite. Let's try and get down here. Maybe we'll get the line of sight for our Spectral Pursuit. We do. There you go, that puts us right next to the enemy. And that means we can follow up with our main weapon attack. And there you go. So this is a really awesome melee range, just all-rounder that can pump out some insane damage. And once you work out the synergies and get it all locked down, you can do some incredible things. The Astral Sear Mindweaver is a really fun subclass for the Mindweaver mod. Imagine it's kind of got themes of like the wild magic sorcerer, but with lots of cold and psychic damage. So let's go over it, level by level, combat tutorial and all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Mindweaver mod. Now this will give you intelligence saving throw proficiency, dexterity saving throw proficiency, and the Astral Sear is the subclass we're immediately going to take. Astral Seers are masterful spellcasters who draw upon the vast energies of the astral plane to bend reality to their will. With unparalleled control over psychic power, they can devastate enemies with powerful spells that wrap and shatter the fabric of existence. Astral Seers excel in long-range combat, using their mental acuity to manipulate the battlefield and overwhelm their forces with cosmic force. So we've covered 3 of these so far for this subclass. You'll notice one was very sort of dex-based, one is just full armor-based. This one, very clearly a spellcaster. So this will give you Astral Anomaly. This unpredictable effect might result in damaging your own party or healing your enemies, reflecting the inherent risk of wielding such immense cosmic power. Activating any of the Astral Flux abilities increases Astral Anomaly occurrence through Astral Chaos. So as you see, the elements of the wild magic sorcerer there. We gain simple weapon proficiency, as well as Ethereal Beam as a cantrip, because you can pick some really awesome ones here. So I did go through Ethereal Beam. This is kind of like a Eldritch Blast. It does psychic and cold damage. We're also going for Cerebral Blast, just a nicer way of doing pure psychic damage. And Psychic Shock. This will also do psychic damage, but can also inflict disadvantage on attack rolls. And I think as 3 damage dealing cantrips, these are incredible. We get to pick our first level spells, and as you can see, they do have their own unique ones. We're going to be starting with Psionic Orb. Conjure a concentrated orb of purple psychic energy, hurling it towards your enemy, dealing 4 to 24 psychic damage. This is kind of like your guiding bolt without the advantage. And we're going to take Cosmic Shards. This will be 3 shards of cold damage. This is your magic missile, but for cosmic. And then when it comes to your cerebral enhancements, we're going to start with Mind over Matter. This means when you're not wearing armor or using light armor, you add half your intelligence modifier to your armor class. So currently we'll be adding a 1 to it, and max we'll be adding a 3. So when it comes to your ability points, we're going to dump our strength. That is going to be 8. Dexterity is going to be 16. This is going to help with our AC as well as our initiative. 14 constitution, 16 intelligence as this is our spell casting modifier, 10 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. And that brings us to level 2 where we unlock Mind Surge. So, unleash the full potential of your psychic power using Mind Surge. This will basically enhance your spells you do, but it also causes Astral Chaos, which is what causes the chaotic effects to happen that could, heal your allies or whatever. Or sorry, heal your enemies. We also have Cerebral Duality. Harness the power of your mind to strike 2 targets simultaneously with a single spell. This is, again, like the sorcery points where you can target 2 enemies with 1 twin spell. This is that version. And Anomaly Suppression. The Astral Sear stabilizes their chaotic forces of the cosmos, preventing any astral anomalies or instabilities from manifesting. With this safeguard in place, the Sear channels their chaotic power into perfect control. So this is a nice way of trying to contain the random effects from happening. For a spell here, we are going to take Shield. We're just going to have this as a reactionary based spell to increase our AC by 5 if we need to. Mindweaver level 3 brings Ethereal Mastery. So, as a bonus action, after we use a spell with our Mind Surge, we can use a bonus action to levitate and fly away. This will avoid any attacks, and it's a nice way of, if you are getting swarmed, you can just sort of get yourself out of danger. Astral Flux, Etheric Haste. Channel the swiftness of the Aether, allowing you to cast a spell with a bonus action accelerating your magical prowess to unparalleled speeds. Now this will apply 2 versions of Astral Chaos, but if you want to just pump out a bunch of damage in one round, you can do it through this. We also have Celestial Focus. Draw upon the celestial energies to enhance your concentration, granting you dominance on your next spellcast, allowing you to roll your damage dice twice and use the highest result. This is incredible, again helping you maximise as much damage as possible. We have Chaotic Casting. So when you roll for a spell that would expend one of your spell slots of 5th level or lower, if you have at least 1 Astral Chaos and the roll succeeds the Chaotic Casting DC, 21 minus your current Chaos, you can choose to spend a Mind Surge instead to not expend the spell slot. So a nice little trade-off here. Obviously the Mind Surge will, boost the damage if you use it normally, but it will build Chaos. Or in this case you can forgo that and use the Surge to cast a spell, saving your spell slots. We've got Embrace the Chaos, so choose to Embrace the Chaos. As a bonus action on your turn, you can choose to expend a number of Mind Surge and give yourself double the Astral Chaos. So if you really want to just, go balls to the walls and see some crazy stuff happen, you can embrace it. We get another spell at this point, and for this one I would take Psionic Storm. Call down a psychic purple lightning from the sky, striking at a target with immense force and mental disruption. This will deal 2 to 20 psychic damage, inflicting the target with raw psionic power. On a save, they'll still take half damage, and this is a concentration-based spell. We get to pick another enhancement, and for this one we're going to take Intellectual Agility. This will basically just add your intelligence modifier to your initiative. Mindweaver level 4 gives us our first feat. We also gain Sear's Temptation. In a desperate bid to replenish your resources and continue a devastation, you draw upon the unstable energies of the astral plane. This dangerous temptation grants you 1 Mind Surge, but at the risk of driving you insane, potentially causing you to attack your allies. While this is good, I don't think it's really that useful, especially late game, but if you need it as a backup, it is quite handy to have sometimes. We gain 1 more spell for this one. I would personally take Mind Shackle. Ensnare your target's mind with unyielding psychic chains, dealing 3 to 18 psychic damage and silence them for 2 turns. This can be incredible to use on spellcasters. And for a feat here we are going to bump our intelligence from 16 to 18. Mindweaver level 5 brings Astral Eruption. Your raw chaotic energy erupts into destruction. If you have at least 3 Astral Chaos, you can expend all of it as an action, unleashing uncontrolled sonic energy, dealing 3 to 18 psychic damage, which will then increase by 1 to 6 based on how many Astral Chaos you have. All creatures, including yourself, are affected by this, so bear that in mind. And Chaos Fling. Use your Chaos as a weapon, pulling back the strings of Chaos, letting go of it, flinging it in its chaotic energy into the minds of into the minds of a target where you have at least 3 stacks of Astral Chaos. There's so many long, convoluted words and P-words in these. Now we get to pick more spells, and for this one we are going to take Mind Flare. This is the psychic version of Fireball. We get another Cerebral enhancement, and for this one we are going to take the Cerebral Amplification. Channel the boundless power of your intellect into your cantrips. All Mindweaver cantrips now deal additional damage equal to your intelligence modifier, and this will scale with your character level. Level 6 brings more spells, and for this one we are going to take Ethereal Ice Bolt. This is Lightning Bolt, but the frozen version, and it will leave behind a whole trail of frost in the line you do it. What's really cool about this, if you have Astral Chaos, it will also leave targets frozen. Mindweaver level 7 brings more spells and a passive, and for the spell here we are going to take Psychic Chain Bolt. Channel a bolt of psychic energy that strikes an enemy for 7 to 42 psychic damage, dealing damage before leaping to up to 1 additional target. You can probably guess this is Lightning Bolt, but or Chain Lightning I should say, but the psychic version, and it's incredible. We get another enhancement for this one. We're going to take Cosmic Reprisal. React to an enemy attack by unleashing a surge of cosmic energy, striking back, dealing with a blast of cold drawn from the depths of the celestial plane, punishing those who dare to challenge you. Really awesome way of, if you take damage, you can just blast it back. Mindweaver level 8 gives us our next feat. Before that we gain 1 more spell, and for this one I would suggest taking Obliteration Nova. Unleash a beam of destructive energy that erupts into a psionic nova upon impact, devastating all nearby enemies with explosive force. This will do 4d8 psychic and 2d8 cold, and if you have Astral Chaos, having Astral Chaos will hold all targets from the centre of the explosion, so you fling everyone around. So if you land this with a bunch of people on a ledge, you'll throw them off the ledge. So not only will they take the psychic and cold, they'll also then take full damage. For a feat here, we are going to max out our intelligence at 20. Mind Weaver level 9 brings our next passive. Before that we gain one more spell, and for this one I do like taking Mind Weaver Aegis. So fortify your defences with an ethereal sonic shield, raising your armour class by 2. Any melee attacker striking you is met with a surge of psychic backlash, suffering 2 to 16 psychic damage from your mental fortitude. This will last for 2 turns and it's just a nice way of boosting your AC. We gain another spell here and we are going to take Astral Dominance. Unleash the supreme power of your mental prowess, infusing your spells with celestial energy. This now means all our psychic damage Mind Weaver spells deal additional damage based on our intelligence modifier once again. So it's now no longer only cantrips. Level 10 brings Glacial Starstrike. Unleash 2 frigid beams of celestial frost, striking foes with the freezing power of the astral plane. The intense glacial force freezes enemies in place, but such overwhelming power risks encasing astral searing ice as well. So, high risk, high reward. You can freeze both of them, but you might get frozen yourself. We gain one more spell for this one. I would suggest taking Hold Person, because it can be an extremely useful spell to have. If you are using 2 spellcasters, one with a higher constitution to maintain concentration, don't take Hold Person. Take something like Astral Disintegration, so you've got a lower level spell you can throw around. Mind Weaver level 11 unlocks a new passive. We also gain one more spell, and for this one I would suggest taking Psionic Rift. This will basically pull all enemies into a centre. This can be really awesome because if you're trying to pull everyone together and then have another spellcaster to throw a fireball or something, nice way of grouping people together and then blasting everyone with one big spell. We gain another enhancement here, we're going to take Psychic Breach. So your growing mental power allows your psychic damage to manifest in reality, bypassing immunity and affecting even inanimate objects. Incredible spell. Or a buff, I should say. And then our final level, Mind Weaver level 12, brings us a new feat. Before that we gain one more spell, and for this one I would personally take Ethereal Blessing, so we've got a nice healing based spell, just to help us, be more useful on the battlefield when need be. You could also take Counterspell if you want to, but I'd probably also save this for a higher level spellcaster if you have one. And then for a feat here, I'd recommend taking your Dexterity from 16 to 18, once again helping your initiative and helping your AC. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. Now ideally, you want to take the Hood of the Weave here. I can't find mine, I don't know where it is, I've probably thrown it off another cliff or something. If you don't have that, then I would go for the Diadem of Arcane Synergy, just to build up the Arcane Synergy. We're going to take the Cloak of the Weave, plus 1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. We can also absorb elements once per short rest. The Disingrained Nightwalkers, we cannot be unwebbed, entangled or ensnared, can't slip on ice or grease, and we gain Misty Step. Really useful, put us on a high spot so we can blast enemies with our high damage dealing spells. We're going to take the Robe of the Weave, plus 2 to our armor class, plus 1 bonus to our spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and whenever we succeed a saving throw, we'll regain 1 to 6 hit points. We're going to pair this with the Braces of Defense, plus 2 bonus to armor class as long as we're not wearing armor or holding a shield. The Burnish Ring to give us use of Paralyzing Ray. The Snowburst Ring, so whenever we deal cold damage, we'll create a 4.5 circle of ice around the target, meaning if they tried to move they could slip on it. The Spellcrux Amulet for spell slot restoration. If you know how to use this, you could use something like the Moondrop Pendant, lots of options. And then for a staff, I'd recommend something like Marker Share or the Staff of Spell Power, just something to give you Arcane Battery. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, you can see we're in the combat and we're actually top of the turn order, so let's get our Spellcaster going. Now, as you can see, we've got loads of enemies in a row here. So let's find our Ethereal Ice Bolt. We're going to do this we'll do 5th level, show off some really high damage dealing stuff. You can see we can target a bunch of enemies in a line. And just like that, you'll see we pumped out a huge amount of damage and create ice around ourselves. You'll see we've also got all of these Astral Fluxes we can target. If we make them active, we can now throw out another spell if we want to. This will build up our Astral Chaos. But let's do it. Let's do a Glacial Starstrike. We'll do this at 5th level 2. And we'll throw it at you, and we'll throw it at you. And there you go, you see we can absolutely just melt enemies. But we do have 2 stacks of Astral Chaos, 2 stacks of Arcane Synergy, and 1 Ethereal Mastery. Okay, if we target our Mind Surge, you will see some of our abilities will glow. What this means is it will tell you. So, using Mind Surge will inflict prone. Using Mind Surge will inflict stun. Using Mind Surge will inflict slow. So let's do a Kinetic Rift, and we'll just pull as many enemies if we can. And there you go, you see we pulled a bunch of enemies into the middle there. And because of that, if we come in here and we do our haste, like I said, we can drop another spell. So let's now drop a Mind Flare bomb down here by pulling everyone together and then dropping a huge amount of damage, just like that. So you see, we can absolutely obliterate enemies. Bearing in mind we do now have 6 Astral Chaos, we've got 3 Mental Exhaustion, but we have just decimated the battlefield. We've killed 4 people in 2 turns. And there you go, Wild Magic Surge. So all can fall prone as the treacherous astral energies create chaotic. So yeah, as you can see, the entire ground has been altered, and now anyone can fall over. Pretty crazy stuff. Now you see we have an enemy up here. So let's do our Cosmic Shards. We'll do this at 3rd level, and as you can see, this is basically Magic Missile that you can blast a bunch of enemies with. We've also still got all of this stuff we can do if we wanted to, which will, you know, we can cost Mind Surge for spell levels, we can suppress our power. So lots of really awesome options. This is the kind of thing that you will get used to as you keep doing it. Got Astral Fling as well, so we can target this. We can try and focus on this enemy if we can go up here. Luckily we are immune to the prone. And there you go, 5 damage on this one, and he is slowed. Nice big misses as well. Now because we've got the Astral Chaos, some of our spells have more effects. For example, Astral Eruption. So if you have at least 3 Astral Chaos, you can expend all of it as an action, unleashing uncontrolled psychic energy. So let's do this. And there you go, you see we did 11 damage to the enemy here, but we took 17 ourselves. So you can see the big trade-off we have. But again, we can build up that chaos by doing our haste, and we can start throwing out some more stuff. We could do another Glacial Star Strike if we want, and we could target, or not because we can't see them. We could do our Cosmic Shards. We could do this at, say, level 4. Blast some of the enemies, ensuring we can deal some damage just like that. And you see, because it's all cold damage, thanks to our ring, the Snowburst ring, lots of ice around the target. And of course we have healing capabilities. So if we come over here, our Ethereal Blessing, we can do this, and we can heal ourselves as well as our allies, as you see down here. And then we can also bonus action and set ourselves up for next round by coming into here, ready to strike the target. Or we can Astral Chaos and cause a huge eruption of fire and kill the enemy. So this is a really, really fun subclass. It is an insanely high damage dealer, and the wild magic, sort of like Chaos Eruptions, are so much fun too. This is the kind of mod that would make a whole playthrough very, very fun, but very, very chaotic, and sometimes I think that's not a bad thing. The Forceblade Mindweaver is a very dominant two-handed based melee class for the Mindweaver that's also all about telekinetic energy and weapons and damage. We're going to go level by level, comment destroying all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Mindweaver. Now for this we gain Intelligence Saving Throw Proficiency and Dexterity Saving Throw Proficiencies. And we get the Forceblade. Now Forceblades are formidable astral warriors who combine their exceptional melee combat skills with potent psionic energy. Clad in heavy armour, they yield large greatswords imbued with psychic power, expelling such immense force that the psychic damage fully manifests as force damage. This unique ability allows them to create devastating attacks and shockwaves, obliterating their enemy's defences with sheer kinetic power. So from this we unlock simple weapon proficiency, martial weapon proficiency, light armour, medium armour and heavy armour proficiencies, as well as Force Blast. This is a 1-6 force damage. It will discharge a concentrated blast of psionic energy. Upon impact, all targets in a 3-meter radius will take the 1-6 damage. And if we use this combined with our Mind Surge, it will also inflict slow. Now for your ability points, if you're doing this from the start of the game, you're going to want to have 16 strength, probably dump your charisma, something like that. If you're playing this mod from sort of mid-game or late game, then you're going to want to use the item guide I'm using, or Strength Flask, and have 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 10 charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Mind Weaver level 2 unlocks said Mind Surge. So basically turn this on will enhance some of your abilities and also cause those abilities to do extra damage. The trade-off for this though is that you will get mental exhaustion, so it's a sort of... you gain a lot from it, but then you also have to have quite a long recovery period from it. We also gain Telekinetic Grasp. So utilise your psionic powers to exert a telekinetic grasp on a single enemy, pulling them towards you with immense force. This sudden powerful yank ensures that no one can escape the reach of the Forceblade. So this is really cool as a bonus action. You can pull an enemy towards you, and then you can still follow up with your main action attack. Now we gain 2 spells at this point, so the first one we're going to take is Astral Blade Burst. So you can abuse your weapon with psionic energy and unleash a powerful strike, sending a burst of astral force through all in a line. Each target takes 19 to 32 damage plus your strength modifier, creating a path of devastation. And again, if you use this with Mind Surge, you'll inflict chest trauma. And that has disadvantage on Constitution saving throws. The other ability we're going to take is Forceblade Advance. We can propel ourselves forward, creating a tunnel force. This will deal 13 to 26 force damage to all targets in your path and plus B inflict weak grip. This is awesome and will not provoke opportunity attacks. Now for a fighting style here, we're going to take Great Weapon Fighting. So if we roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack, with the two-handed weapon we get to roll that dice again. Mind Weaver level 3 unlocks Ethereal Mastery. So essentially what this means is after we use a spell using Mind Surge, so we toggle that, we then do our spell, as a bonus action we can levitate and we can fly away. This will not provoke opportunity attacks and it's a nice way of just getting out of danger. Now in my opinion, for the Forceblade, this isn't really that useful for getting out of danger. What it can be useful for is if you finish an enemy off, you can use this to fly towards another one. Really nice way of like cutting the battlefield in half, for example. Now we're gaining a cerebral enhancement at this point, and for the first one I would take Intellectual Agility. So this will basically improve your initiative based on your intelligence modifier. So the higher our intelligence modifier, the more that is added to our initiative rolls. Mind Weaver level 4 unlocks our first feat. We also gain Force Eruption. So when you take damage, you can absorb and redirect the incoming energy, halving the damage and releasing it in an eruption, dealing 2 to 8 force damage to all within 4 meters. They will have to make a Dex saving throw against being pushed back 4 meters on a failure, or taking half the damage without being pushed on a success. We also have Spell Surge, to expend a Mind Surge to channel psionic energy, restoring a spell slot for yourself or an ally. This can be very, very useful as well. For a spell here, we're going to take Mind Breaker. Strike your target with a powerful blow that deals 13 to 26 slashing damage, plus 1 to 6 force damage. The target with Mind Breaker Wound that causes them to take extra force damage each turn unless they succeed a intelligence saving throw. So essentially if you land this, you can guarantee extra damage every round unless they make their intelligence save. For a feat here, we are going to take Great Weapon Master. By this point at level 4 you should be re-speccing and using strength potions, so you can really focus on taking Great Weapon Master. This will allow us that when we land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, we can make another one as a bonus action on that turn. We can also take a -5 attack roll penalty for a solid 10 extra damage. Mind Weaver level 5 unlocks Extra Attack. This is really useful because that means we can deal even more damage per round, as long as we choose the attack with our main action. For a Spider here, we are going to take Mind Flare Strike. Strike a target with your Force Blade, dealing 23 to 36 slashing damage, channeling psionic energy that affects the minds of nearby enemies within range. This disruption will allow you to follow up attack with Sonic Aftershock on one of the affected enemies using Mind Surge. Incredible ability you can use. Level 6 unlocks Force-Bound Retribution, so teleport instantly to an enemy attacking you or an ally, delivering a punishing blow. You deal force damage to the enemy, and this is really awesome as well for getting around the battlefield. Now again, one more spell here. For this one we are going to take Force Burst. Expel a burst of sonic energy, creating a powerful force explosion around you. This will deal 3 to 18 force damage to all within a 6 meter radius, knocking them back and leaving them reeling from the impact. And if we use this with a Mind Surge, we'll inflict prone. Now for your cerebral enhancement here, we're going to take Kinetic Deflection. Create a kinetic barrier, deflecting an incoming melee weapon attack. Reduce the damage taken by an equal amount to your level plus your proficiency bonus. Showcasing the Forceblade's mastery of both physical prowess and mental fortitude. Now this does require a great sword or longsword, and we're using a great sword, and it's just a nice way to ensure that you fully are able to tank the battlefield a bit better. Mindweaver level 7 doesn't really give you much here apart from spell slots. Mindweaver level 8 has unlocked a new feat. Before that we gain one more spell, and for this one we are going to take Ethereal Barrier. This will basically just increase your AC by 2 for 3 turns. And then we get a fighting style. For this one we're going to take Defense to further boost our AC by 1 while wearing armor. For your feat here, there are two options. I'm going to be taking Savage Attacker, but what you can do is take your Intelligence to 18. But I do think for the amount of damage dice we're going to be rolling, Savage Attacker is a good option. Mindweaver level 9 unlocks a new passive. And for this we're going to use Astral Dominance. Unleash the supreme power of your mental prowess, infusing your spells with celestial energy. All Mindweaver spells that deal psychic damage now deal additional damage equal to your intelligence and modifier. Nice way of just pumping up the damage output from our spells. Mindweaver level 10 unlocks Force Dominion. Expel a crimson aura of force energy, damaging all enemies within range. Those caught in the aura have their movement speed reduced by half and their armor class reduced by 2. On a failed save, they'll take 1 to 12 force damage and are pulled as the overwhelming force crushes their defenses. This is concentration based and lasts for 10 turns, but as you can see it's a really awesome way to keep enemies really sucked in close to you. We gain one more spell at this point, so we're going to take Pulse Wave. Unleash a wave of overwhelming force in a 9-meter cone, choosing to either push or pull all targets and objects within its path. Each target in the area must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 6 to 36 force damage on a fail, or half as much on a success. Creatures that fail are either pulled or pushed 5 meters. So as you can see, big damage, huge distance covered, it's incredible. Mindweaver level 11 unlocks a new spell, and for this one we are going to be taking Blade Force Beam. So this unleashes a massive beam of kinetic energy from your sword, striking all distant target with overwhelming force, dealing 6 to 36 force damage again. This beam will concentrate and tear through everything in its path, and it's incredible. Mindweaver level 12 unlocks a new feat, and for this one I would take your intelligence either to 18, as I'm doing now, or to 20 if you didn't take Savage Attacker. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Helldusk Helmet. We can see in magical and ordinary darkness up to 12 meters and cannot be blinded, as well as a +2 bonus to our saving throws against spells, and we cannot be critically hit. The Flesh Melter Cloak, say if we take melee damage, the attacker will take 1 to 4 acid damage. The Blackguard Greaves to give us long stride and athletics +1. The Helldusk Armour, so this will give us Infernal Retribution, so if we succeed a saving throw, then the caster will take burning for 3 turns. We also gain resistance to fire damage, cannot be burned, and we take 3 less damage from all sources, as well as the ability to fly. You can see we have an AC of 23 in total. Now, if you don't want to use strength potions, you can use the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, which is what I'll be using. This will set your strength to 23. Obviously, you don't get these until endgame Act 3, so make sure you're using those strength potions until then to maximise this build. Once you've got these, you don't really need to. We're going to take the Caustic Band to add 2 acid damage to our weapon attacks. The Killer Sweetheart, so when we kill a creature, we can guarantee our next attack roll will be a critical hit. This is once per long rest. The Moondrop Pendant, so if we have 50% hit points or less, we won't provoke opportunity attacks. And we're going to pair all this very nicely with my favourite two-handed sword in the game, the Sword of Chaos. This is awesome for necrotic damage, and on a hit, we regain 1 to 6 hit points. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, we start the combat and you can see we are joint top of the turn order, which means we can do some pretty cool things. So if we come here slightly, we're going to do our first ability and hit everyone in a straight line, which is Astral Blade Burst. Now again, if we use our Mind Surge, we will actually be able to cause chest trauma, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to Mind Surge, we'll get the Blade Burst, and let's do it at the highest level possible, which is level 3. Now, you will see we did do some friendly fire, unfortunately, and we did miss the enemy in the back. But what's really awesome about that is, as you can see, we can still follow up with some attacks. So you can do a lot of cool things here. So, for example, let's do Mind Flare Strike. We'll do this at level 2, and we'll target the enemy here. And there you go, you'll see we've got that Sonic Echo all around, and if we come back to the Sonic Echo, check that out here, you will see that enemies affected with Mind Flare Strike are left with Sonic Echo. The Echo leaves them vulnerable to follow-up attacks, allowing to execute Sonic Aftershocks, which is a lot of fun. And we still have things we can do, such as our Sonic Aftershock here, which we just did. And there you go, and because we were able to knock enemies prone, you can see we really can nullify the battlefield. The other cool thing is, because we have Great Weapon Master and we killed an enemy, we can come in here, We're not going to use Executioner, and you can see we can pump out some really good damage still. So there's lots of things you can do with this on round 1. Now see the prone enemy has been on the ground, and because he stood up, it's minimal damage. And you can see the acid damage taken in return. Now let's do some things here. Let's do our telekinetic grasp and we'll pull this enemy towards us. Just like that. Nice little way of getting enemies nice and close, leaving them in a good spot where we could do something such as coming here. And we could do a Forceblade advance. We'll do this at level 2. And as you can see, we took both enemies out. And once again, because that did a bunch of damage, you can see weak grip on him, weak grip on him. So again, even though we've done damage, pulled enemies around, we've still left them with certain debuffs. And a big miss from the enemy there, and another big miss. Okay, it's back to our turn. So if we come into here, we are going to do our, where is it? Forceblade Beam. We'll do this at level 3. And as you can see, we can target all 3 enemies. So, and just like that, huge damage on that one. They made their save because unfortunately they were a little bit tricky. But what it does mean is we once again still have our bonus action. We could do another telekinetic grasp, for example. And continuously pull enemies towards us. And a big miss once again, missing the sneak attack. But of course you can just use both your attacks to do regular attacks. And with Executioner, because we killed an enemy, we can make sure it's a guaranteed crit, just like that. So you don't just have to worry about using your spell slots for attacks, but you can do still. And because we scored a crit, we can benefit from our Great Weapon Master and land that as well. That also still means we have the chance to do a Spell Surge if we wanted to restore spell slots, but not really something we need to worry about. And once again, we can just make sure get a nice big hit. We can, once again, pull an enemy towards us from here. Keep them nice and close. This is also really good if you have more than one melee combatant. And with our extra attack, we can make sure they're within range. And if we wanted to, we can start closing down distance here and allow our teammates to pick off the 4 health HP there. So we'll make our way here, ready for next round. And there we go. Once again, another big miss thanks to our great AC. And the enemy's unable to move us because we've got such a high strength score. Now imagine you've got a few enemies on the edge like this. You can see the spellcaster here. If we were to do our Force Burst, for example, let's do that at level 2, you can knock enemies off of ledges. Now unfortunately they didn't go flying, but they did die because low HP. But essentially you have so many capabilities. You can, throw enemies around, pull enemies towards you. You can debuff them in so many different ways, land insane force damage. So many really awesome options. We're just going to come back in here, try and land Daze with a Palm Strike, like that. You can see we landed a nice big crit. And we can land our Force Dominion. So if we do this, this will slow enemies down, just like that. It'll also reduce their AC. So this is awesome because then you can use things like your Telekinetic Grasp if they're far away, to pull them in, for example. You'll see they take force damage while within this aura. And thanks to the slow movement, archers and stuff really struggle to get towards you. Meaning you can come in here and follow up with things such as an Astral Blade Burst, for example. If I sort of come here, Astral Blade Burst, and there you go. Now unfortunately because they're rogue they're a little tricky, but once again we can follow up with some big weapon attacks. And again, if enemies are running away, Telekinetic Grasp and pull them in. You see more force damage thanks for being stuck here, and more big misses. So you can really use this to your advantage. And obviously the best way to do this is to just use your extra attack, so using your main action, and then following up to land enemies ASAP. So that is the Forceblade subclass for the Mindweaver mod. It is an incredible two-handed melee combatant that can deal insane damage, cause huge debuffs, and as you see, just cripple enemies' movement in a very wide area. The Frostveil Sage is a really fun frost and ice-based class within the Mindweaver mod, all about inflicting frozen, empowering yourself with frost, as well as being able to do spells and melee attacks in a round. So let's go over it. We'll go level by level, commentary on all the items you can need. So of course we start with the Mindweaver mod, which gives us intelligence saving throw proficiencies and dexterity saving throw proficiencies. And that brings us to the Frostveil Sage. Frostveil's Sages are a splintered order of Mindweavers, once counted among the Astral seers, who gaze deep into the astral plane, but turn their focus outward beyond its boundaries. Their relentless curiosity led them to the frozen, celestial realms, where the raw, unyielding power of the cosmos offered a strength unparalleled in the astral void. Wielding a staff infused with celestial frost, Frostveil Sages blend their background in astral manipulation with the chilling power of otherworldly ice magic. Each strike of their staff and every spell they cast channels the frigid energy of the stars, capable of freezing enemies solid or shattering them with bursts of glacial force. So for this, we gain Chillbound Strikes. Deliver an unarmed strike imbued with icy energy, dealing 1 to 4 cold damage or 1 to 4 bludgeoning damage plus half your dex modifier. These chilling attacks performed as bonus actions seamlessly integrates with Frostveil Sage Frost-infused combat skill, and this is upgraded 1d4, 1d6, 1d8 based on your level. You also gain Icy Finesse. The Frostveil Sage's mastery of Celestial Frost has refined their movements, allowing them to wield weapons with unparalleled grace. This passive enables the Sage to use dexterity instead of strength for all weapons they are proficient in and unarmed strike, except heavy weapons, which means our lovely staff here will use our dex, and we will be maxing our dex, or near enough maxing our dex out. Ice Forged, so through their exposure to the unrelenting colder celestial frost realms, the Sage's body and mind have been fundamentally transformed. Hardened by the freezing environments they traversed, their form now radiates a natural resilience, granting additional armor class from their intelligence modifier. Removed by wearing armor or using shields, so bear that in mind. If you go into light armors or even using a shield, you are going to lose this buff. We also gain Frostbite. So your mastery of Frost magic curses enemies with Frostbite. Certain spells apply stacks to the target, and this is what this is all about essentially. Increasing their vulnerability to cold and causing all other spells which do not inflict Frostbite to deal 1 to 4 cold damage at 4 stacks, scaling at your character level. At 8 or more stacks, the next cold damage they take is doubled to 2 to 8 cold damage, scaling with Frostbite. In addition, allows using Frostbite Enclosure to freeze targets. And then we start gaining our cantrips. So the first two we're taking are Glacial Arc. The Frostveil Sage channels Celestial Frost through their weapon, swinging in a wide circling motion. The Icy Slash cleaves through multiple enemies, dealing 1/6 cold damage and leaving a shimmering trail of frost in its wake. And this will put 2 stacks of Frostbite on each enemy. We also have Frostbite Touch, so this is kind of like, your Shocking Grasp, but with cold. This will also apply 4 stacks of Frostbite. For your ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take where you feel like. And that brings us to level 2. This gives us Iceborne Mastery. So the Frostveil Sage's unparalleled control over their magic allows them to cast ranged spells with ease, even in the chaos of melee combat. So essentially we can cast ranged spells in melee without any disadvantage. With Mind Surge, you can trigger this, and this will enhance some of your spells with other abilities. However, it will cause mental exhaustion, so there is a bit of a trade-off. Chiromancer's Reach. So, by extending your mastery of frost magic, enhance the range of your Frostveil spells using Mind Surge. When enabled, certain spells gain 18 meter range, amplifying control. So it's kind of just, distant spell, but without having to use sorcery points. And a Rime Claw. Born of Celestial Frost and bound to the will of the Frostveil Sage, Rime Claw is a spectral beast forged in the coldest reaches of the stars. This is a nice little permanent, loyal, cold companion, and we'll show you this in combat. We gain 2 spells at this point, and the first one we're going to take is a Glacial Spear. Conjure a spear of pure ice, honing into a razor sharp point before hurling it at the target. This will do 4 to 16 cold damage, leave the target bleeding as well. So it will absorb and remove the frostbite to deal additional cold damage, but you also inflict bleeding, and bleeding is damage for 2 turns. We're going to pair this very nicely with the Cryothermal Siphon. Conjure 3 chilling beams that latch onto targets, siphoning their warmth and vitality, granting you 3 armor class, which is reduced by 1 every time you are attacked. This relentless frost beam continuously drains the target, reducing their movement speed and deal damage while it persists. Nice way of dealing damage and boosting your AC. A great ranged spell. Level 3 gives you Ethereal Mastery, which essentially means that as a bonus action after casting a spell with Mind Surge, we can levitate and fly out of the way, not provoking opportunity attacks. And Frost Incarnate. When attacked, the Frostveil Sage reacts by transforming into a swirling veil of frigid air. In this form, their physical presence becomes insubstantial, reducing the damage by 1d4 plus your intelligence modifier, and again this also scales with your character level. We get one more cantrip, and the last one we can take is the Frostveil Fracture. Deliver a precise strike, dealing 1 to 8 cold damage to the target, and this will absorb and remove Frostbite as well to deal additional cold damage. And as you can see, using Mind Surge will inflict prone, so trigger Mind Surge, inflict prone, get mental exhaustion. For a cerebral enhancement here, we are going to take Chilling Backdraft, so retaliate with a frigid beam of cold energy streaming away and toward the caster as a spell strikes the target. On impact, the target and the frost remnants are pulled back towards the sage. Can also be used as a reaction, and will cost a Mind Surge, will inflict crippling. This will also remove Frostbite. Mindweaver level 4 brings our first feat. Before that we gain 2 spells, and the first one we're going to take is the Rime Beacon. So the Frostveil Sage opens a veil in the sky, releasing a frigid beam of cold air that latches onto a target. Essentially this beam will follow enemies as long as you remain concentrating, dealing 2 to 12 cold damage every turn. Any nearby enemies are also chilled by its presence and will take 2 to 12 cold damage. This will apply 2 stacks of Frostbite. The next spell we're going to take is Frigid Domain. Frostveil Sage summons a chilling field of frigid air, creating a frozen expanse that envelops all within. All inside the domain take 1 to 10 cold damage and their movement is slowed. This will also apply Frostbite, so 2 nice concentration based spells here that will, debuff enemies making them slow, but also persistent damage for rounds. For your ability improvement, we are going to take our intelligence from 16 to 18. Mindweaver level 5 unlocks Frostweaver. So, mastering the balance of frost magic and martial combat, the Frostveil Sage seemingly weaves spells and strikes. After casting a spell or cantrip, we can deliver a swift melee strike as a bonus action and chillbound strike as a free action. So cast a spell, melee strike. Spell, melee strike. Really awesome stuff. We get one more spell at this point, and for this one we are going to take Frigid Burst. Projects an intense surge of celestial frost, releasing it in a triangular cone of freezing energy. The chilling blast crystallizes the air, turning existing water surfaces into ice, enveloping everyone in biting cold, dealing with 3 to 12 cold damage. This will also apply 4 stacks of Frostbite, and even on the save they will take half damage. Mindweaver level 6 brings our next passive. For this we are taking Frozen Empowerment. Draw strength from the icy terrain beneath you, amplifying your frost magic with a surge of celestial energy. So while we're on a frozen service, we will deal an additional 1 to 4 cold damage with our spells. Level 7 brings new spells, and for this we are going to be taking the first 2 of Cryostar Descent. So calling upon the Celestial Frost Realms, the Veil Sage summons icy beams that descend from the heavens, striking for 3 to 36 cold damage. This is incredible. This will also absorb and remove Frostbite, dealing additional cold damage. And we're going to take the Frostveil Singularity. So we summon a swirling frost core that draws in air, condensing it into icy energy before exploding. This will also deal 6 to 36 damage to all nearby enemies, and once again this will also absorb and remove Frostbite for additional cold damage. So you can see there's some synergies between spells here. Some will inflict Frostbite, and then some will actually absorb the Frostbite for higher damage. Mindweaver level 8 brings our second feat. Before that we gain one more spell. For this one we are going to be taking the Cryogenic Core. Hurl a frozen orb that strikes the target, dealing 3 to 18 cold damage and freezing the ground beneath them. The orb will then deflect to 2 additional targets in 10 meters, dealing half damage. So you hit one enemy, you basically damage on another 2 for free. And again, this will absorb and remove Frostbite for additional damage. And for your ability improvement, we are going to max out our intelligence at 20. Mindweaver level 9 brings new spells. So for this we are going to take the Frozen Solace. The Sage envelops their target, enemy or ally, in celestial frost, freeze them in place and render them incapacitated, but healing 1 to 8 hit points each turn and gaining 2 AC. When casting themselves, the Sage will gain 2 AC, reduce movement and 1 to 4 hit points healing, but remains full ability to attack and cast spells. So if you need to just heal yourself up and increase your AC, casting this on yourself, standing still and just throwing out spells, more than capable. And we're going to pair this very nicely with the Hypothermic Collapse. Induces a chilling condition causing frost to permeate the target's body. When the target's health falls below 10%, the frost overtakes them entirely. This will cause them to basically shatter an explosion. If you've ever played like Dragon Age Origins, this is like Walking Bomb but for cold damage. Mindweaver level 10 brings new spells. For this one we are going to be taking the Permafrost Monolith. So essentially we summon a tower that will deal 1 to 6 cold damage every turn, and after 4 turns it will crumble into shards and cause a huge freezing area that will damage all enemies within, and it applies 2 stacks of Frostbite. Mindweaver level 11 brings a new passive, and for this we are taking Chill Stride. This means that while we're on ice we cannot be knocked prone, and we gain 5 meter increased jump distance. And finally, level 12 brings our final feat. We gain one more spell and we are going to be taking the Celestial Frostwave. So basically this is just like a wave of energy, of freezing energy I should say, that deals 4 to 16 cold damage to all enemies around. If we use Mind Surge, this will prevent reactions, so this is awesome to use if you have another spellcaster or someone in danger, that you can do this, cause enemies to not have reactions, and then they can run away without getting an opportunity attack. This will also apply 4 stacks of Frostbite. We gain one more ability improvement, and for this we will be taking our dex to 18. When it comes to equipment, we are going to start with the Mask of Sob section, plus 2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative and perception checks. The Cloak of Displacement, so this will activate at the beginning of our turn, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls until we're hit. The Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. The Robe of the Weave, plus 1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Whenever we succeed a saving throw against a spell, we'll regain 1/6 hit points, and an armor class plus 2. Pairing very nicely with the Brace of Defense. As long as we're not wearing armor or using a shield, we gain a plus 2 to our AC as well. So you can see our armor class is currently sitting at 23. We're going to take the Burnish Ring for use of Paralyzing Ray. If you wanted to use the Ring of Protection here, you could. Put your AC to 24. The Snowburst Ring, so whenever we deal cold damage, will also create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around the target. The Spellcrux Amulet, so we can restore some of our spell slots when needed. And the Staff of Spell Power. Arcane Battery, so we gain a free spell slot, and a plus 1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Now before we leave camp, we are going to summon our little companion. So we come in here and we get our Rime Claw. This will last until short rest. And there we go, we've got essentially a Spectral Bear with 99 health. So let's go find some combat and check this out. Okay, we are in the combat, so let's get this going. You'll see we are top. So if we get to our turn, we're going to start by getting that frost going. So let's do our Permafrost Monolith. Put this at level 2. And we're going to throw this kind of just here. There you go, so you see we have Prone and Frostbite on the enemies. And because we've done a spell, we can come in here. We can do a Weapon Strike. And we can do a Chillbound Strike as well. So every round you can do a spell, 1 melee strike, and then one of your fish strikes. So 3 attacks per round. A nice big miss on our character, followed by another one. And there you go, you'll see the monolith exploded because of the character within it. And we have another enemy fallen prone. Now unfortunately they made their save against the monolith, but once again fell prone. You see just having your allies right on the edge of it just keeps the enemies contained. Now we can send our bear up ladders and all sorts to start dealing some damage, and the bear is pretty tough. So it has a lot of cool features. If we just start though with a very base attack, which sadly missed. Now one thing you will notice with this Frostveil Sage is a lot of spells are concentration based, so make sure you bear that in mind. However, we do have some that obviously aren't. So if we were to do a Frostbite Touch on this enemy in front of us, you can see we're now up to 4 Frostbite, we dealt more damage, and again, we can follow up with our melee strikes, just like that. We get a nice opportunity attack, and there you go, you saw one of our strikes, 14 cold damage and the Frostbite put on the enemy. You see the monolith exploded again, causing 7 frost damage, and the enemy has just decided to leave. But obviously being ranged, or sorry, being melee, they are kind of nullified here. And some nice big miss from the enemy here. And again, falling nice and prone. And that brings us to our bear, and again, our bear has some awesome abilities. So let's do our Rime Claw Assault. We'll send ourselves up here. And one big miss, but we did land another hit. And again, we have more spells we can throw out. So let's find our Glacial Spear. We'll upcast this to 3rd level. And we'll throw this to the enemy down here. Just like that. You'll see we did some damage. Unfortunately, we did walk into the monolith, so we did deal or take damage. But again, we can do this, and then we can follow up with our strikes, just like that. You see the bleed damage thanks to our Glacial Spear. And a big miss. followed by another one. Enemy walks into our monolith and again falls prone. And again, our Rime Claw has more abilities we can do, so let's do our Glacial Maul. And they go 14 damage and causes the enemy to drop their weapon. So it's a really nice way of just nullifying an enemy for a round. Okay, we are going to extend the reach of our spells. So we're going to do our Cryomancer's Reach, and then we're going to do our Cryostar Descent. We're going to do this at 4th level, and we're going to target Runt down here, and the Barbarian here. And there you go, a huge amount of damage to these enemies, and we still have the opportunity to do our melee strikes. Now unfortunately we're not really within reach, we're too far away from there, and we're definitely not making it up to the rooftop here, but if you had some enemies here you'd still be able to. So the enemy there having to use that action to pick it up, and this enemy taking bleed, followed by missing both strikes. Our monolith still going strong and the enemy still not able to reach us, which leaves them within range for our ranged combatants, or I should say our melee combatants with extra reach to still get some swings in. Our Rime Claw once again can start dealing some damage, and we've got some awesome things, so let's do our burst. And they go 18 huge damage with that, and again that is a big area that will target multiple people. Now you see our monolith is gone and there is the icy surface that it leaves, so we now can sort of extend our stuff a little bit. So we are going to do our Frostveil Singularity, and again we'll upcast this to level 4 too. We will put this sort of here, and there you go, huge damage to this enemy, and of course what does that mean? We get our melee strikes, meaning we can take this enemy out as well. And then our bear should be able to take this enemy out and set itself up for the next round by coming over here. We get big opportunity attack, and again 6 damage and frostbite on the target, and our bear can climb vines and we can get ourselves set up for our next attack. So let's just come slightly round here, and we can do our breath attack. So if we target here, there you go, 11 damage. So again, a nice big sort of cone one. Best used on multiple enemies, but just as your examples. Now if we trigger our Mind Surge, you'll see some of our spells glow, and this means it will inflict extra conditions. For example, Fracture does prone, or Frostwave will do prevention of reactions. So we could do this at 3rd level, and there you go, you'll see we are also empowered because we're standing on a frozen surface, so now this enemy has absolutely no reactions. And again, because it's a spell, if we have the reach or the movement, we could follow up with a melee strike and then our open hand attack. And of course, our bear can just try and swing. And if that fails, we can obviously come in here and we can start doing some more of our spells. So for example, with our Glacial Arc we haven't done yet. There's our Cryogenic Core, there's the Singularity, we've got Frigid Burst. So many awesome options we have still. But let's do our Hypothermic Collapse. We'll do this at 2nd level. Now this means when they have less than 10% health, they will explode. Now obviously this works best when there's other enemies around, but we're just getting ourselves set up ready to make them explode upon damage. Once again, 0 attacks able to do on us. And again we're going to throw out a very basic attack, so let's do our Frozen attack here. There we go, we can follow up with a staff, and you would have just slightly seen then, the enemy did explode, and it caused a bunch of damage all around. And again, this works really well if you have them near enemies, because they will explode and cause like bomb damage to everyone. But this is just an incredible frozen based sorcerer with a great AC, great concentration, multiple attacks around. It's just tremendous, and of course, a huge bear summon. The Sonic Warden Mindweaver is a devastating melee just beast, essentially. So let's go over it. We're going to level by level with the combat tool and all the items you can need. So of course we start with the Mindweaver mod. Now this will give you Intelligence Saving Throw Proficiency, Dexterity Saving Throw Proficiency, and we get to pick our Specialization or Subclass at level 1. So for this we are going with the Sonic Warden. Sonic Wardens are a unique blend of mental fortitude and physical prowess, embodying the perfect balance between warrior and spellcaster. As a specialised subclass of the Mindweaver, Psionic Wardens channel their psychic energies into their weapons, seamlessly fusing melee combat with psionic power. They excel in devastating their enemies with powerful strikes imbued with psychic energy. So we gain Simple Weapon, Martial Weapon, Light Armour proficiencies, as well as Mind Blade. Now we won't be using this because we'll be using our own weapon when we get it, but this is really helpful to have if you can't find anything that really fits. So for cantrips, we are going to take Psychic Shock, overwhelm the target's mind with a surge of psychic energy, dealing 1 to 8 psychic damage and impairing their focus, inflicting disadvantage on their attack rolls. This is a great cantrip. As well as Cerebral Blast, to channel a concentrated burst of psychic energy at a single target, dealing 1 to 10 psychic damage. And then we get to pick our cerebral enchantments, and you're going to pick a few of these as you go through the game. So we're going to start with Sonic Blade Infusion. What this will do will allow you to use your ability to channel psychic energy into your weapon, meaning intelligence will be used for your attacks and damage rolls, meaning you won't need to split your stat array, you'll use intelligence for your spells and your melee hits. So I think this is the most important one to take at level 1. So when it comes to ability points, we're going to have 8 strength, we're going to have 16 dexterity, just to help with AC, and initiative. We're going to have 14 constitution, if you want to switch these around you could do, 16 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. And that brings us to Mindweaver level 2, which unlocks Mind Surge. So Mind Surge, unleash the full potential of your psychic power, using Mind Surge to erratically weave and enhance your spells with potent mental energies, resulting in amplified and devastating effects. This will basically just like juice up your spells. But using this will cause mental exhaustion. If we come in here, mental exhaustion will mean that we are unable to use Mind Surge for 3 turns, and as well as having mental fatigue. So please just bear that in mind. Now we get to pick 2 spells at this point, so the first one we're going to take is Cognitive Ruin. So strike with a devastating blow that deals 9 to 22 slashing damage, which is an insane amount, and 2 to 12 psychic damage. We'll also put disadvantage on intelligence from Mind Blade or Mind Rend, take an extra 1d8 damage due to their feeble minds. So you can see how all these abilities like weave together. We're going to pair this with Shield, so we've got a nice reactionary based spell just to protect our health pool. And that brings us to Mindweaver level 3, which gives us Ethereal Mastery. So channel the power of your mind to levitate and fly. As a bonus action, after casting a spell using Mind Surge, we can use a bonus action to levitate and fly. We'll avoid any attacks and demonstrate the aerial supremacy of a Mindweaver. So this is pretty cool, you can sort of like land your big devastating spell, and then you can just fly out the way of danger. Now we gain one more spell at this point, and for this one I would take Psychic Devastation, or Psionic Devastation I should say. Unleash a wave of psychic energy in a cone, dealing 3 to 18 psychic damage to all characters. This is kind of like Cone of Cold, but for psychic damage. And Mind Shackle. Ensnare your target's mind with unyielding psychic change, dealing 3 to 18 psychic damage, and silence them for 2 turns. Target slots are bound, rendering them unable to cast spells, so this is awesome to put onto spellcasters. Then we're getting another enhancement, and for this one we're going to take Mind over Matter. This will allow us to add half our intelligence to our AC, as long as we're not wearing armour, or if we're using light armour. Really awesome for just tanking yourself up. Level 4 unlocks our first feat. Before that though we gain one more spell, so let's take Hold Person because this is a phenomenal spell. Landing this will also mean any creatures that are held, any melee attacks on them within 3 meters are guaranteed critical hits, and this is such a quick and easy way to end fights. And then for your feat, you probably guessed it, but we're going to take our intelligence to 18. Mindweaver level 5 brings a bunch of abilities, so we start with Psionic Echo Arc. Channel raw psionic energy into your weapon, delivering a powerful melee strike that deals 9 to 22 psychic damage and knocks the target back 6 meters. The attacks will lead them with Psionic Fragment, priming them for enhanced damage from a Psionic Echo Ray, meaning you can do an arc, and then you can follow up with the Ray. So with this, unleash a focused ray of psionic energy from your weapon, dealing 1 to 8 psychic damage. If the target was previously struck by Ray and has a Psionic Fragment, then the power is amplified and you'll cause them to become frightened. There's also Mind Blade. So strike with a blade imbued with potent psionic energy, converting all the weapon damage into pure psychic force, and you can see you can deal 9 to 22 psychic damage and an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. It is incredible. You can also put disadvantage on intelligence saving throws. So you can Mind Blade and then you can like Hold Person. works like a charm. Then we gain more cerebral enhancements here, and for this one we are going to take intellectual agility. This will mean we get to add our intelligence modifier to our initiative, which is incredible for boosting us up the turn order. Mindweaver level 6 brings more spells, so for this one we are going to come in here and take Psionic Server. So you can server the target's mind, rendering their intelligence by 4 and dealing 9 to 22 slashing damage, plus 2 to 12 psychic damage. For the next 2 turns they will recover their intelligence. What's really good about this, if you pair it with a spellcaster, you can really land some crippling spells, like a whole person, like other things like Dominate Person, that sort of stuff. Level 7 brings more spells, and for this one we are going to take Astral Assault. Teleport through the astral plane to your target and unleash a devastating attack, dealing both 9 to 22 slashing and 2 to 12 psychic damage. You'll also create an astral explosion upon arrival that will deal psychic damage to nearby creatures if they fail an intelligence saving throw. So basically you can teleport, land with a big boom dealing damage, and then deal damage on top. We gain another enhancement at this point, and for this one we are going to take Cerebral Amplification. This will add your intelligence modifier to your cantrips. Mindweaver level 8 brings our next feat. So for this, you probably guessed it, but intelligence all the way to 20 to max it out. Mindweaver level 9 unlocks new spells and a passive. So for the spell, we are going to take Mind Warp Onslaught. This will allow you to teleport to 3 targets in quick succession, striking them all with damage. This is incredible as well. We get another enhancement at this point, and we're going to take Mind Strike Riposte, meaning that we can counter an enemy's attack with a strike of our own, which is awesome. Level 10 unlocks Mind Blade as an action, so this will now deal some juiced up damage. And Psionic Cataclysm. Unleash the full fury of your psionic power, slamming your sword into target, dealing 8 to 48 psychic damage, and summoning a devastating vertical beam of psychic energy. The blast will reverberate through everyone, causing them to all share in the destruction. A massive attack. It's incredible. For a spell at this point, we are going to take Astral Maelstrom. Summon a fierce Astral Maelstrom with your weapon, striking all in a circle around you. Characters hit will suffer 8 to 19 slashing and 3 to 18 psychic, and become hindered. Their movements and actions severely impaired by the overwhelming cosmic forces. So you can see, not only do all these abilities like pair together nicely, but you can also land different ones to just rupture the targets and to buff them in so many different ways. Mindweaver level 11 will bring our next passive. And for this one we are taking Astral Dominance. So unleash the supreme power of your mental prowess, infusing your spells with celestial energy. All Mindweaver spells that deal psychic damage now deal additional damage equal to your intelligence modifier, showcasing the unrivaled might of Mindweaver's ascendant mind. Basically just a nice way to buff up all your spells. And then Mindweaver level 12 brings our final feat. Before that we do gain another spell, and for this one we are going to take Mind Wave Arc. And then for your ability points here, I would personally take Savage Attacker, since we're going to be rolling so much damage dice. However, if you want to take something like the ASI to boost your dexterity to 18, it's also a very valid thing to do. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Mask of Soul Perception to give us a +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative rolls, and perception checks. For a cloak, we're going to take the Cloak of Displacement, and at the beginning of the turn it will activate, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. For boots, we're going to take the Boots of Genial Striding, so unimpeded by difficult terrain. You're going to want to take any light armor or clothing that works for you. I'm personally just taking the Studded Leather Armor +2 to get the +1 bonus to initiative. For gloves, we're taking the Helldust Gloves, +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, as well as 1 to 6 fire damage on our weapon attacks. We're taking the Strange Conduit Ring, so we'll concentrate on a spell. We'll deal an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. The Caustic Band, so your weapon attacks deal an additional 2 acid damage. The Amulet of Baal, on a hit inflict bleeding upon targets at maximum hit points. This is really good, especially for your little teleporting abilities. Awesome stuff. And then for a weapon, I am going with Cohen's Cauterizer, because I think it's incredible. It can help spread burning, as well as all the psychic damage we'll have. But any sort of finesse weapon will work here, in my opinion. You could take like Fallow Lube, you could take Murderous Cart, you could take Orin's Little Sword, that helps apply weakness. Lots of awesome options, but I'm just going with this one. So that's the build. Let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, you can see we're in combat and we have our displacement from our cloak going. So there is lots of awesome things we can do here. For example, what we should have done is as soon as we leave camp, we need to infuse our weapon. Now this will use your intelligence for everything. So just bear that in mind. You want to do that round 1. I totally forgot because I'm stupid, but that's okay. Okay, it's now our turn again. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here with our Mind Warp Onslaught. Now, if we want to, we can do Mind Surge. And you could start doing some of these big attacks, but we're going to save that for next round. For now, let's do our Onslaught. We'll do it at level 3. And we'll target the Barbarian. We will target the enemy here. And the enemy here. And there you go, you can see just how much damage we've done, and like I said, we spread all that bleeding around, which is what makes the Amulet of Baal so important here. What we can also do is we can follow up with a main attack with our hand. There's also things like we can do Sonic Rise, now that we use our abilities to like fly around. But if we just do a main weapon attack, you'll see we can pump out some insane damage with this. Okay, so you can see we've got the mental exhaustion, which will block some of our attacks. But we do have the ability, we could do a Sonic Arc if we wanted to. So if we do this, we can push the enemy back here. And that's a really nice way of just getting enemies away from like squishy characters or whatnot. It's also a really big damage dealer. And because of that, we could do a Ray if we want to as a follow-up. If we have anyone within sight. Which we do if we come here. So if we run up here. So just remember, you have to do the Arc first and then the Ray. But you can see just how easy it is to melt enemies. It's incredibly powerful. Okay, now it's back to our turn, so let's come up here, close the gap a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to show off another one of our abilities. So, if we hit our Maelstrom, we will do this at level 3. You can see we do it in a big circle. And there you go, huge damage to the enemy here. Unfortunately the rogue, obviously being a rogue is a little tricky, but you can see that weak grip they have. Meaning we can follow up with another weapon attack and land another big hit. So now we've got the burning, we've got weak grip, lots of awesome abilities here. And you see the big fire damage. And now back to our warden. So if we come here, we've still got other big attacks we can do. We can do our cognitive ruin, for example. And we do this at base level 1. You'll see the damage output is still an incredible amount. And because of that, what we can also do, if we wanted to, we can follow up with another big attack. We've got our Flourish, thanks to using the Scimitar. So many just incredible options that we have to get around here. Now, what we can do is, we still have our things. We could do another Arc if we wanted to. However, let's show off our Cataclysm. This is our big damage dealer. As you can see there, big 36 points of damage. And of course, we can follow it up with another base attack. Just like that. So this build is extremely powerful to the point that we don't even get to show off half our abilities. For example, we still have the ability to do our Arc, which means we can then follow it up with the Ray if we had obviously land on an enemy. It's just incredible. If you want a psychic damage dealer that will just spread bleed, spread burning, cripple enemies, this is the mod for you. The Void Reaver is an awesome dual-wielding Mind Weaver subclass. So let's go over it. We're going to level by level, competition, and all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Mind Weaver mod. So this will give you intelligence saving throw proficiency and dexterity saving throw proficiency. Which leads us into the Void Reaver subclass. So the Void Reaver is a master of dual wielding and close quarters spellcasting, harnessing both the mental powers of the Mind Weavers and the mysterious energies of the Void. With twin blades imbued with potent psychic energy, or psionic energy I should say, they seamlessly blend melee combat with spellcasting, gaining a unique advantage in close combat. Their connection to the Void allows them to momentarily slip between dimensions, existing partially within the Void itself. This grants them unparalleled mobility, enabling them to evade attacks, reposition with precision, and unleash psionic fury with deadly accuracy. So the first thing we get is Void-bound Duelist. Unlock the ability to dual wield weapons that are not traditionally light, enhancing your combat versatility. This is really important because we can use this to use dual longswords, and they are very powerful. And we can make them light, so they'll use your dex as well. While you cannot wield heavy weapons, Void-bound Duelist allows you to unleash a fury of strikes with your chosen blades, channeling the power of the Void with each blow. Begin simple weapon proficiency, longsword, short sword, as well as Reaver's Grace. So through the mastery of the Void's elusive energies, your longswords gain the finesse property. This skillful adaptation lets you strike with swift agility and controlled power, not affected by Void Weave. Void Weave we will cover later, but essentially this is like unleashing the power of your dual wielding and then cantrips. It's a really awesome thing to do every round. We got our ability points, so we've got 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, as this is your spellcasting modifier, 10 wisdom, and 10 charisma. And then for your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Mind Weaver level 2 unlocks Mind Surge. You can basically trigger this to enhance some of your abilities. However, this will cause mental exhaustion, so there is a trade-off here. We have Reaver Arcana. So master the art of the Reaver Arcana, allowing you to cast Mind Reaver cantrips in melee range without disadvantage. Awesome stuff. We also have Dark Afflictions. So Mind Force Blades. Basically, this is a bonus action, and when we do this, we'll infuse our blades with psychic damage and force damage. So as we do our attacks, one blade will cut through mind, one will cut through body as the description. Essentially, dealing damage with this will then grant us Dark Affliction Torment or Dark Affliction Corruption, whichever what these are. So essentially, you kind of gain passives for attacking with Mind Force Blades, and if you stack them both up once you reach a certain level, you get an even bigger passive. Lots of awesome stuff can happen here. It's easier to show you in combat than to try and explain it. We gain a cantrip at this point, and for this one we are going to take a Void Shift. So essentially this means we can shift ourselves around. So we can slip between dimensions. During the shift, the target and the caster are struck by a surge of force, dealing 1d6 force damage and 1d4 force damage to the caster as the dimensional rift briefly opens. And if we have a corruption, it will grant us Astral Shroud. But if we use this with Mind Surge, we'll inflict blindness as well. Lots of awesome things here. We also gain a Psych, and for this one we are going to take Rift Slash. So momentarily slip into the void, reappearing mid-strike to slash at your target with devastating precision. This sudden displacement catches enemies off guard, inflicting 5 to 19 psychic damage. If we have Torment at the same time as this, targets can become crippled, and if we do this with Mind Surge, we can inflict Prone. Now luckily when it comes to combat, as you go through your abilities, it will list this for you, so you kind of know, you don't have to just remember all this. So the mod maker does make this nice and easy to do. And now we get some cerebral enhancements, and we're going to start with Mind over Matter. Essentially, while not wearing armor, or if we're only using light armor, we add half our intelligence modifier to the armor class. Really nice way of just, tanking us up a little bit. Mind Weaver level 3 gives us Ethereal Mastery. Channel the power of your mind to levitate and fly. As a bonus action after casting a spell using Mind Surge, you can use a bonus action to levitate and fly away, avoiding all attacks. We have Dimensional Ambush, master the art of striking from the void. When you have an advantage over an enemy, your single target cantrips gain sneak attack, which is crazy too. And Astral Shroud, envelop yourself in an astral shroud that warps reality, making you appear partially displaced. This ethereal barrier grants resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, and psychic damage, shielding you from harm as you straddle the line between worlds. Again, a really awesome ability. We gain one more spell for this one. I would take Cognitive Reflex. So basically this is shield. It just allows you to, deflect some damage. Mind Weaver level 4 brings our first feat, and Dark Affliction Awakening. So this is what I was talking about. If you have both Dark Afflictions on you, they will combine, and this will give you the Awakening. So in this moment you become the embodiment of a Void Reaver, reaching the peak of your destructive potential. While Awakening is active, you gain access to Abyssal Bolt and Abyssal Discharge. If we check these out here, Abyssal Bolt is a nice little cantrip that does force and psychic damage, and Discharge is another cantrip that is just like a surge of energy. Both really awesome. Now we gain our first feat for this, we are going to bump our dex to 18. Mind Weaver level 5 brings a Void Weave. Unleash the power of the void with swift dual-wielding strikes. After executing a dual-wield attack, your next cantrip can be cast freely within the same turn, meaning we can attack, offhand attack, and cast a cantrip all in one round. Big DPS. For a spell here, we are going to take Natural Sphere. This is just like a blast of energy, it's really cool. And then for a psych, we're going to take Sonic Burst, again another nice damage dealing spell. Now for a spell here, we are going to take Mindblade Apparition. Summon a spectral blade forged from psychic energy controlled by your will. The Mindblade Apparition hovers beside you, striking at your command, delivering swift psychic attacks to enemies within range. Kind of like Spiritual Weapon. We gain an enhancement, and for this one we are going to take Mind Resonance. Your melee attacks resonate with psychic energy, adding an additional 1d4 psychic damage to each strike. Mindweaver level 6 brings Void Frenzy. Empowered by the essence of the Void Reaver enters a state of relentless ferocity after a kill. When the Void Reaver slays a character, they are consumed by Void Frenzy, amplifying their damage for the next 3 turns. Fueled by lingering energy of their fallen foe, their cantrips, dimensional ambush, weapon attacks, and mind force blades do an additional 1 to 6 force damage. We gain a spell at this point, and for this one we are going to take Phantasmal Echo. Surround yourself with 3 psychic mirror images that amplify your defense. Now usually mirror image is a +3 by all of them, this is only a +2. But when an enemy misses you with an attack or spell, an echo shatters, dealing 2 to 12 psychic damage that knocks nearby enemies down. It's pretty good trade-off, to be fair. Mindweaver level 7 brings Voidborn. Your connection to the Void grants you heightened perception beyond ordinary sight. Immune to blindness and darkness, the Void Reaver navigates through shadows and obscurity with ease, seeing clearly where others cannot. We gain one more spell. For this one we are going to take Void Barrage. Really nice, it's kind of like Raise of Fire, but it's for force damage and you get 6 bolts. Mindweaver level 8 brings a new feat and 2 weapon fighting. So you make an attack with your offhand weapon, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the attack. We gain one more void for this one, so it's time to take Cognitive Blade Wave. So channeling your mental power into a sweeping arc of psychic energy. We gain a Psych, which means we can finally take Mind Shroud. And then for your feat, we are going to boost our dex to 20. Level 9 brings new spells and passives. So first, the spell we're going to take is going to be Mind Shackle. This is awesome for enemy spellcasters. So essentially, you put Mind Shackle on an enemy that will deal 3 to 18 psychic damage, but also silence them for 2 turns. We gain an enhancement, and for this one we are going to take Psychic Breach. Basically, this means we are now able to cut through the sort of immunity of force damage, as well as deal force damage to inanimate objects, just ensuring that our psychic damage lands as much as possible. Mindweaver level 10 brings Mind Force Eruption. So with your Mind Force blades active, each strike deals damage plus intelligence modifier and unleashes devastating power. A hit with the psychic infused blade triggers a mental explosion, damaging foes within for 2 to 12 psychic damage, while each force infused blade creates a force detonation of raw energy, dealing 2 to 12 force damage. This will require Mind Force blades and wielding 2 weapons, which we will be doing. Level 11 unlocks a new spell, and for this one we are going to be taking the Oblivion Vortex. Summon a vortex of swirling black and purple void energy around yourself, enveloping you in its power while granting the protection of Astral Shroud, rendering you immune to its effects. Anyone that ventures too close is pulled into the vortex and restrained. This lasts for 3 turns. Mindweaver level 12 unlocks our third and final feat. We gain one more spell, and for this one we are going to take Sciatic Conduct, or Conduit I should say, having boost our AC. And for our ability point, we're going to take the feat and bump our intelligence up to 18. Okay, when it comes to equipment, we're going to start with the Mask of Soul Perception, plus 2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative rolls, and perception checks. The Cloak of Displacement, so this will activate, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against us. The Disintegrating Nightwalkers, so we cannot be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, or slip on ice or grease, and gain Misty Step. We're going to use light armor, and I like the Elegant Studded Leather. Plus 2 bonus to initiative, advantage on stealth checks, and a use of shield. We then take the Helldust Gloves, plus 1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, and we imbue our weapons with 1 to 6 fire damage. The Shifting Corpus Ring to give us invisibility and blur, really good outside of combat. The Caustic Band for 2 solid acid damage. The Amulet of Baal, so on a hit on enemies with maximum health, we will inflict bleeding. And then you want to take basically any 2 longswords you can find that have good stats. Fallow Louvre here works amazingly. I'm just going to be using the Sword of the Emperor and the Cruel Sting just as 2 examples. Now, as you can see, 5 to 17 damage and 4 to 16 because it's using our Strength modifier. If we come in here and do Reaver's Grace, this will make them have the Finesse property, meaning if we come back in here and check them out, it is now 11 to 23 and 10 to 22. So that is the build. Let's confirm some combat and check it out. Okay, you can see we're in combat with top of the turn order and our Mind Force blades have just triggered. So make sure you have Reaver Arcana turned on, because this will allow you to attack as well as then do a free cantrip. So for this, let's start with some very basic attacks, and we'll target Sledge here. A big miss sadly, but we did inflict some damage there, and we got the bleed. And of course we can follow up, so let's do a Rift Slash, and we'll do it on this enemy. And there you go, nice and maimed, and we now have Dark Affliction, Delirium and Corruption going. So if we check this out quick in our Examine, and we come here, Corruption means we can do Blight, and Delirium has the same usage. You see they took the bleed damage, and they took bleed damage as well, and then a nice big miss. Now you see we have a few people around us, so we are going to boost our AC a little bit, and we're going to do this through the use of a spell. The other thing we can do, if we stop lagging, turn on our Reaver Arcana again. We want to boost our AC as much as possible, but before that we are going to do a Dark Rift Natural Sphere. And we can target the enemy in front of us because again, we can cast within melee. And because we did that, we can benefit from a Dimensional Ambush. So when you have advantage on an enemy, your single target cantrips gain Sneak Attack. And there we go. And because we did that, we still have our Awakening we can now trigger, because we've given ourselves everything we need. And now we have maximised our damage for our next attack. Meaning we can do an Abyssal Discharge, we can do our Abyssal Bolt, we can do our offhand melee weapons, so if we do this, and we'll target Skeeve here. There we go. Lots of really good options, and again we can throw out a Discharge now to both enemies in front of us. Just like that. You see we deal Force and we deal Psychic with it. Now as much as we are amazing within melee, we still have those defensive capabilities we can benefit from. So let's start throwing them out. We're going to start with our Phantasmal Echo, boosting our AC as well as allowing us to now deal damage to enemies that hit us. And more bleed on the enemy there. And there you go, big Phantasmal Echo knocking the enemy all the way back. And same thing again. It's such an awesome move. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to show off our Oblivion Vortex. So if we get this going. Now unfortunately I did make the save, but you can see our lovely Vortex is going all around us. Meaning we can still follow up with our bonus action offhand attack. With a big miss. And we can run in here. And you see we've got them both trapped within as well. Nice and restrained. And you see, because they tried to hit us, both enemies that are next to us took the damage. And that means we can come in here and do both our attacks, and you see we can just deal so much damage. We've stacked up all our corruption, meaning we are able to now do another big attack. So let's do another rift on this one. And there you go, you see they are now maimed. We pumped out a bunch of damage. A lot of awesome stuff here. And once again, we just come in here and we swing nice and hard, taking enemies out, stacking all our stuff up, as you can see here. Meaning we can do our Mind Shroud, all sorts of fun things. We can throw out another Natural Sphere, so if we target the Barbarian down here. And there we go. Nice way of just dealing melee damage and then still throwing out something ranged. We can also do our Awakening. Again, this will last until long rest. And we're ready for the next round. Now, the other thing we have is we have our Mind Surge, which you'll see all Void Reavers have. Well, not Void Reavers, sorry, Mind Weavers have. And if we activate this, some of our abilities go a different colour. And you'll see, if we come over here, using Mind Surge will inflict blindness, or prone. So if we use a Rift Slash, and we do it on this enemy here, there you go, we have a now prone enemy, and we can still follow up with our Abyssal Bolt, which we can hit with this dude. A big zap there. And we still have our offhand we can hit on the prone enemy in front of us. But of course, one of our biggest benefits is just our ability to come in and hit as hard as possible, just like that, and then following up with a huge move, which I pressed the wrong one again. And now let's try and finish the fight. So we've got our big attacks, and then once again we'll come in here, we'll do our Sonic Burst, and there you go. frightened as well. And now we just very simply finish the fight by hunting down the enemy and taking them out with our attacks. Just like that. So again, get yourself some really powerful longswords like Falar and stuff, and you're going to be pumping out so much damage. The Soul Scion is a awesome subclass for the Mindweaver that kind of allows you to build up ability points to then spend them, and then you can do like really powerful spells. It's way easier to show off than to try and talk through about showing it, but let's go over it. We're going to level, comment on all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Mindweaver mod, and that will give us intelligence and dexterity saving throw proficiencies. Bringing us to the Soul Scion, or Scion, I'm not really sure how you say this one. Unlike their psionic brethren who manipulate the mind, Soul Scions are Mindweavers who turn to animacy, the study of the soul itself. Rejecting the traditional psychic arts of their kind, they sought a deeper understanding of existence. Striking down their foes, their very soul essence, that's your sort of like ability points that you build up. Harvesting the remnants of shattered spirits to fuel devastating abilities. This stolen energy allows them to empower themselves, weaken their enemies, and dominate the battlefield with unnatural resilience and control. Masters of buffing, debuffing, and soul domination, they use soul essence to turn combat in their favour. So from this we gain a few cantrips, and we're going to start with Soul Shock. Harness the protective layer of an ally's soul, converting it into raw energy. This transformation triggers a burst of electrical, striking all enemies in the area with 3 to 18 lightning damage as the unleashed power surges outward. We're going to pair this with Deep Soul Surge. Release a volatile Soul Surge targeting 3 enemies, shocking their spirit, dealing 2 to 12 lightning damage. For each successful hit, you absorb 2 hit points, up to a maximum of 6 hit points, drawn from their remnants of unraveling souls. You see that one costs 10 Soul Essence, and this one costs 10 Soul Essence. So you have to use these points that you build up to do these spells, essentially. For our ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. For proficiency, say where it fits your roleplay. Mindweaver level 2 brings Ascendant. So when the Soul Scion reaches their maximum soul essence, they transcend their mortal limits, unlocking a surge of untapped power. Once per combat, they may cast their highest level spells at no soul essence cost, channeling the full force of their power. This is incredible. We gain one more cantrip, and for this one, we're going to take Curse of Entropy. Fracture the target's essence with a volatile curse, leaving their soul in a state of chaotic disarray. This affliction is always inflicted initially, and causes the target to take random 1d4 of Force, Lightning, Necrotic, Thunder, Psychic, or Fire damage, unless they succeed a Wisdom saving throw. This lasts for 5 turns and costs 10 Soul Essence. And then for a fighting style, for this one we are going to take Dueling. So when you're building a melee weapon that is not two-handed in one hand and no weapon in the other, you deal additional 2 damage with that weapon. You can carry a shield in your free hand and still gain this bonus, and that is what we're doing. Mindweaver level 3 brings Ethereal Mastery. Essentially this means if you use your Mind Surge, you can, as a bonus action afterwards, levitate and fly out of the way, avoiding any opportunity attacks. And then Soul Annihilation. Now we gain a ranged and melee focus one. So basically, we channel our weapon's power into a surge of raw force. No armor, no reflex can stop the force of this soul-shattering blow, and it never misses. This attack deals weapon damage as force damage, plus 2 to 12 force damage. Once unleashed, Soul Annihilation cannot be used for 4 turns, and this attack does not trigger Essence Reaping. This is also a bonus action, so bear that in mind. For our cerebral enhancements, the first one we're going to take is Revenant's Awakening. So the Soul Scion's attunement to lingering spirits deepens, allowing them to reclaim even greater essence as combat begins. By embracing their mastery over lost souls, they now restore an additional 10% of their maximum soul essence, essentially just meaning we can do more abilities from the start of combat. Mindweaver level 4 brings Essence Reaping. So, with the Soul Scion relentlessly harvests soul essence through combat, they can make 2 Soul Lash attacks per turn until you have gathered 10 soul essence to cast a spell. The second attack deals a third of weapon damage. If they already have enough soul essence, and after casting a soul invocation, they can make a weapon attack, which also deals a third of weapon damage. So this is a nice way of just building up your soul essence and assuring you can always just do something per turn. And Psionic Emina. Forcibly convert your own mental energy into soul essence, tearing at the boundary between mind and spirit, converting 1 Mind Surge into 10 soul essence. So a nice way of just using your Mind Surge, instead of powering up your abilities, you can use it to actually gain abilities. We gain some more invocations, and for this one we're going to start with Resonant Wave. So manifest a crescent-shaped shockwave of soul energy, sending a thunderous force rippling across the battlefield. All caught in the wave will take 2 to 16 thunder damage and are knocked back by the reverberating power of the Scion's will, kind of like Thunderwave. And Mind Lance. Project a blinding lance of soul-forged energy, firing it in a straight line through all in its path. This costs 20 soul essence, but if you can have like a line of people, you can hit them all. It's incredible. For your ability improvement, we are going to take our intelligence from 16 to 18. Mind Weaver level 5 brings more cantrips and a passive. And for our invocation here, we're going to take Wither and Wield. So essentially, we can place a curse onto an enemy, and you can see the list of curses there. And in return, we actually gain a boon. And as you can see, it's like armor class, weapon damage, advantage, like increase to like intelligence, wisdom, that sort of thing. Really nice way of like debuffing someone and buffing yourself up. We get a cerebral enhancement, and for this one, we are going to take Mind over Matter. So when not wearing armor or using light armor, you add half your intelligence modifier to your armor class, just making us even more defensive. Mind Weaver level 6 brings more cantrips. For this one, we're going to take Tenebrous Blades. Conjure one great sword infused with negative soul energy and hurl them at foes. Each blade deals 2 to 16 necrotic damage, prevents healing for living targets for a turn, and imposes disadvantage on attack rolls for undead. Additional blades can be conjured at the increased soul essence cost. As well as Soul Ignition. Ignite the very core of an enemy soul, setting it ablaze within. The target will suffer 4 to 24 fire damage. The fire triggers at both the start and end of their turn for 2 turns. Mind Weaver level 7 brings more cantrips. And for this one, we're going to take Anima Shield. Envelop yourself or an ally in a protective veil of soul energy, granting 5 hit points, temporary HP, and 1 armor class. When the temporary HP are depleted, you absorb the remnants of the barrier, restoring 5 soul essence. And this lasts until long rest. Level 8 will bring our next feat. Now for our invocations here, we're going to take Spirit Brand. So, the Soul Scion ignites with Soul Kindled Flame, their form enriched in spectral energy. Their weapon and body burn with the same ethereal glow, causing their weapons to deal an additional 1 to 4 fire damage until the effect ends. 5 Soul Essence and a bonus action, Concentration, so if you are in sort of like melee range, at least you can do a little bit of extra damage. And we're going to take Essence Implosion. Tear into a target's spiritual core, dealing 2 to 12 necrotic damage as their essence begins to unravel. If the target is reduced below 50 hit points, or 50% health I should say, their soul implodes, triggering an explosion of 2 to 12 force damage to nearby enemies. If the target is reduced below 15% health, they are instantly slain, and the eruption frightens all nearby enemies. For your feat here, we are going to max out our intelligence at 20. Mind Weaver level 9 brings a new cantrip and a passive. For the invocation, we're going to take Pain Link. Forge a spectral bond between yourself and your allies, tethering pain to vengeance. While the link is active, 20% of any damage dealt to a linked ally is reflected back as psychic damage to anyone who strikes them. And then for our cerebral enhancement, we're going to take Scion's Claim. So when delivering a killing blow, you do not simply end a life, you consume the remnants of the fallen, siphoning fragments of their spirit into raw power. Each enemy slain restores 5 soul essence, ensuring that death only strengthens the domain or domination over the battlefield. Mind Weaver level 10 brings another cantrip. We're going to take Borrowed Power for this one. So reach into the essence of your foe, siphoning fragments of their physical mental strength. The target will take a -2 reduction to strength, dex, constitution and intelligence, as well as a -1 d4 to attack rolls, and we gain an equivalent increase up to a maximum of 22. Level 11 brings Soul Mind. Your connection to lingering soul energy grows unwavering. At the start of each turn in combat, you passively restore 5 soul essence, allowing your will to remain fueled in the heat of battle. We gain one more invocation, and we're going to take Spiritual Eclipse for this one. And then finally, level 12 brings our final feat. We gain one more invocation, and we're just going to finish off with Animus Treason. We gain another cerebral enhancement, and for this we're going to take Intellectual Agility. So we get to add our intelligence modifier to our initiative. And then for a feat, we're going to come all the way to the bottom and take Warcaster. When I find it, just here. Advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell, really useful because we do have some concentration based spells. And as a reaction we can cast Shocking Grasp at a target. When it comes to equipment, we're going to start with the Mask of Soul Perception, +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative and perception checks. The Cloak of Displacement, so at the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak will activate, granting disadvantage on enemies' attack rolls against us until we're hit. The Space Hunt boost to give us use of Dimension Door, really useful for getting us and an ally around the battlefield or out of danger. You want to take any light armour that essentially has good stats. I like the Elegant Studded Leather, +2 bonus to initiative to boost us even further up the turn order, advantage on stealth checks, and a use of shield. The Legacy of Masters, +2 bonus to weapon attacks and damage rolls with weapons. The Shifting Corpus Ring for use of invisibility and blur, so we've got some outside combat uses. The Burnish Ring for use of Paralysing Ray. The Moondrop Pendant, so if we have 50% hit points or less, we won't provoke opportunity attacks. And we're going to take the Despair of Akfla, +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. This also means you have things like Marker Share and the Staff of Spell Power to save for, wizards, something like that. You could also take the Harper's Star Strider for this if you want to, and have a use of Spiritual Weapon. And then we're going to pair this with a shield. I've just gone with the Absolute's Protector, just to get Fire Shield Chill, but any shield hit will work as well. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, you can see we're in the combat and we're top alongside our rogue. So if we get to our turn, you'll see we have 35 Soul Essence ready at the start. Now, what we can do is we're going to start very nicely with our Soul Lash melee. So we're going to do this and we're going to target, when I can, the enemy here, good old Sledge. And there you go, this has given us Essence Reaping. And because of this, we can follow up with another Soul Lash. We could do our bonus action with Spirit Band. So if we did this, do this at first level. This will cost 10 Soul Essence, but it's going to give us even more fire damage. And then once again, we can follow up with another one that unfortunately missed. You see a big miss there, and another big miss. Okay, you can see the Barbarian is in front of the Rogue. So if we were to do a Soul Shock, we will put this on for level 1. And there you go, we can channel our power through our Rogue to attack enemies, attack them. This is really useful if you have a fighter who swarms, something like that, because you can put the shock on the fighter and then they'll explode, causing damage to everyone around. And because of that, we can still follow up with another Soul Lash. So if we target Skeeve here, you see we also have a little bit of fire damage as well. Another big miss. And another, so that's now 4 misses in a row. And once again, another big miss. And then on the 6th hit, they finally break through our defences. Okay, back to our turn, so let's start throwing out some abilities. And let's do the Curse of Entropy. We're going to do this at level 1, and this is the one that will cause them to take certain damage over 5 turns. So there you go, this enemy is now cursed, and once again we can follow up with a Soul Lash. So we target the Barbarian, you'll see we gained some stuff. And there you go, 4 force damage on that enemy there. Okay, we're going to get our line of sight. You can see we've got 2 enemies in a row here. So this is perfect for our Mind Lance, when I can find it. Here we go, Mind Lance, we're going to do this at level 2. And we're going to zap them both. And because we've done that, we can once again follow back up with a melee hit, which unfortunately missed. And there you go, they took psychic damage this turn. So the Soul Scion isn't the most powerful damage dealer, especially with like the level 1 spells, but the more you upcast them, the more damage all this will do, and it can become very, very powerful. Obviously, I'm just trying to show you as many abilities as possible so you get a gist of what is happening. So you see we have 20 Soul Essence, so we're going to throw out a Resonant Wave. We'll do this at 2nd level, and let's see if we can throw our enemies away. And there you go. So you see we've thrown them both off the cliff here. So it's really, really powerful. You see more psychic damage on the enemy there. You see 2 more force damage from that enemy. Okay, you can see we weaken this enemy severely with all our allies around finally. So we are going to do Essence Implosion. We'll cast this on the Barbarian. And there you go, because he had under 15% health, he exploded and died instantly, as well as caused damage to this enemy. So it's a nice way of just one-shotting enemies without even really trying. And because of that, we can follow back up with another strike for our Essence Reaping and regain those soul points. We got more psychic damage on that enemy. There you go, we just did another Soul Essence and we regained, just did another Soul Lash, regained 10 Soul Essence, you would have seen in the bottom. And again, if we strike with our 2nd attack, we regain another 5, putting us on 25 at the end of this turn. You'll see we're on 30, if we do another Soul Lash, puts us up to 40, and with the other one, 45. So with Soul Lash, you can regain 15 Soul Essence every turn. Obviously, the more Soul Essence you have, the higher you can use this stuff. And now we are Ascendant. So you can see we can now cast, because we're at 50, our highest level spells for free. So for example, if we come over here, and we will do Treacherous Blades. Now if we do this at 5th, we'll throw all 4. Oh sorry, no we won't, we'll throw our blades around. We're just going to do this as a demonstration, it will be okay. Like that. And there you go, you can see just how much damage we did. 27 in Bone Chill, and they perished. And obviously, if that one wasn't blocked, we could hit them too. But really high-end things, and we still got all 50 Soul Essence. And again, we can do another Soul Implosion. They might just be out of range. But if we target them here, and there you go, you see huge explosion. They were just out of range, sadly, so we don't get the follow-up explosion. But we also would have had the ability to Soul Lash if we were just a little bit closer. Now, we've lost a little bit of health, so we're going to try and regain some with a deep Soul Surge. We'll do this at 2nd level because why not? And we'll target both these enemies. And there you go, we zapped one, absolutely annihilated them, zapped the other, and we gained back a little bit of HP. We're going to close the gap here, and we're going to do a Ignition on this enemy now to show off that ability. So Soul Ignition, we'll do this at 1st level. And there you go, you'll see they're burning. And obviously if we had the reach, we could come back in, regain some hit points, or some Soul Essence, sorry. And there you go, you'll see they take the burn damage every turn. So you can land that one, you can land the other one as well, that causes the random damage effects over time. So for example, if I come here, and then on this one, we'll throw down the Curse of Entropy. We'll do it at 2nd level. And there you go. And what you see is you can have both on at the same time, and we can also follow up, unfortunately with a miss. And there you go, you'll see the Soul Ignition costs 5, the Essence costs 4, so you can really stack up these every turn attacks. And you'll see the Soul Ignition also triggers at the end of their turn, very much like Hunger of Hadar. And of course we can just finish this off, another Deep Soul Surge, and we'll just zap them. Regain 2 hit points, cause 8 damage to them, and there you go. So this is a subclass that will take a lot of getting used to. Obviously you're going to be using all your companions every turn, so not everyone's going to be at half health. But once you learn to manage your Soul Essence, building it up, and how your abilities work, you can absolutely dominate the battlefield through debuffs, through damage over time, through just raw power. It's so much fun. So really hope you have enjoyed the Soul Scion build for Baldur's Gate 3. If you have, please drop the episode a like, it helps me tremendously. If you're new and not subscribed, you'd like to, that would also be amazing. I've got guides to Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age, Path of Exile, Elden Ring, Expedition 33, Oblivion, all the amazing RPGs you could ever need. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.